These sliders are going to blow your mind because these are fired up cheeseburgers, and that cheese is gonna have some nice smokiness from this blowtorch, and that really is the key to the flavors that just define this cheeseburger. Now, if you want more sliders, I did have a recipe on how to convert dinner rolls from Thanksgiving, which is kind of close. Canadian one is even closer, and how to use those buns to make amazing smash burgers, slider style. So check it all out and get excited and fired up for these sliders. See, the key to getting these perfect is to keep it simple, keep it fresh, and using that fire to mold that perfect cheeseburger. First thing you want to start is the caramelized onions. It's going to be the longest thing that's going to take to cook. So butter in the pan along with some sliced onions. You want to put some salt, stir that well, and just tone the heat down to medium low. Initially I had on medium, it sizzled a bit, and then you want to just very gently cook until it's completely soft and caramelized. Let's look at the actual patties while that's going on in the background. So this here is just the best quality ground beef that I have found at my local grocery store. But this is also not a crazy high grade kind of ground beef that's made from a cut like a brisket or chop, maybe a ribeye, because that is much more safer to cook to medium rare, and different temperatures. I'm going to be cooking these burgers to well done. In that meat, I'm going to add my chopped bacon, some minced garlic, and onion powder. That's it. Salt and pepper will be later. You want to mix that until it is just combined. Over mixing is not your friend, because what happens is mixing it and kneading it with your spatula, with your hands, whatever you pick, actually affects the proteins of the meat at a molecular level. The proteins will literally bind together and result in a burger that's actually hotter, chewier, and just not melt in your mouth like we want it to be. Same goes for meatballs actually. Once you have these just combined, then parchment paper squares are an amazing way to start laying out your patties, because things get hot, you want to stay organized. So just portion it out into 3 equal sized balls. If you're making the full recipe, if you are scaling it up, then just portion it out accordingly. I'm using 2 ounces of ground beef for 1 slider. You want to season this now with salt and pepper, and now we can head over to the pan where we have a cast iron pan actually heated up. Some olive oil goes in there along with your buns, and you want to toast that really well. Now once you've toasted it and it's golden brown, to protect against all the juices that will be coming out of the burger, laid out on a baking sheet. I have a wire rack on top of it with some foil at the bottom to protect against the fire later on. While that's going on, let's take a look at the onions, which are actually looking crazy good, and they are almost ready. Okay, the buns are ready, and now you don't even need any oil. There's enough fat in the bacon we put inside the patties, plus the ground beef has its own. Just make sure it's nice searing hot and lay it down and then press it down almost like a smash burger, but we're not flattening it, but we are kind of spreading it out a bit because it will tighten up as it cooks. Then you can peel off those parchments, toss it, and season with more salt and pepper for the other side. I like to just let it cook untouched, mostly on one side. And once you start seeing the color changing, the burger's actually kind of shrinking down a bit, the brown color climbing up on the sides, then with a scraper or a metal spatula, just get all that crust and really carefully flip it. On the other side, it really does not need much work because we cooked it mostly on the first side. We just need some color to finish these burgers. The smell at this point was out of this world. Now transfer these over onto the bottoms of your bun, and I'm not putting any sauce. No sauce at all. The juiciness from the burgers and the cheese that we'll add later on will be just enough. Just trust me on this. Now, on top of that, we'll be adding in the caramelized onions, and be very generous with it. I used half of a large red onion for just these 3 sliders, and don't go less than that. It's really, really worth while it's so nice and sweet. Then cheese on top. So it's 1 regular slice of cheese which I've cut into thirds, 2 of those slices on each of these slider portions. Lay it on and then get your torch on. Now you want to be careful with how you actually melt the cheese, because we don't want to burn it. We don't want the fats to ooze out too quickly. That may result in the cheese splitting as well. So here's what to keep in mind. Keep the heat, the intensity, rather on the high side. And when you are flaming the cheese to melt it, try to use the tip. Try to keep it as far away as you can to get a lot of the tip to help initially melt the cheese, so that it melts very gently. And when it has mostly molten and it's kind of going down the sides, that's when you can come closer and then kind of char the fats that will start to come out from that cheese. That really has an amazing way of imparting flavor, some smokiness into this burger, which you will not get if the cheese is melted, let's say just on top of the pan, from the residual heat from the burger, or from the steam if you do choose to cover it instead. You know what to do next. Top it off. You know what to do next. Put the top buns on, secure it with a skewer on each of these sliders, and trust me, these burgers, these sliders are the best ones that I have actually ever made or had anywhere. And whatever I say will be a disservice to how good they really were, so just take my word for it. Just look at how good they are looking, and then let me know when you're making it down below and how it was. I'll see you all on the next one.